Good day. This is an open letter to Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, regarding the arrival of South African refugees in the Buckeye State. April 28, 2026. This is addressed to Governor Mike DeWine. As a 41-year resident of Ohio and a combat veteran with over 36 and a half years military service, I'm deeply concerned about a recent change in Ohio law. Specifically, as of June 30th, 2025, individuals with refugee status are issued a limited term license and are subject to mandatory training requirements before they can take their driving exam. The key amended requirements for refugees are mandatory driver training, practice hours, limited term license. While I understand the intent to ensure safe driving on the Buckeye State's roads, the amended standards are broad-based and deeply discriminatory. Additionally, they are wholly unnecessary, or at least should be applied with more exemptions. On February 7, 2025, President Trump opened the door for South African refugees to escape racial persecution and to come to America. This law is unnecessarily impoverishing recent arrivals from South Africa, preventing them from finding timely employment. Many already face unwarranted bigotry and abysmal service from money-grubbing refugee agencies located in Ohio. South African refugees have fled state-sponsored racial persecution. Nearly all adult South Africans are experienced drivers who have lived in what was, until recently, a first world country. As tourists to the United States, you would honor their South African driver's license while visiting Ohio. Why does Ohio not accept their existing driver's licenses and permit them to convert their driver's licenses to a state-issued license like the other 49 U.S. states do? Ohio has made exemptions for refugees from Canada, France, Germany, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. However, these countries are not the origin of refugees. Also, why would Ohio accept a license from a refugee who fled to Germany and then came to America shortly afterwards, with no previous first world licensing and driving experience, yet refuses to allow South Africans with hundreds of thousands of miles of safe driving experience convert their existing driver's license? Additionally, this requirement does not apply to residents of other states who move to Ohio. Refugees are afforded the same rights as Americans, except for voting, on arrival in the United States. Imposing this burden is not equal protection under the law as intended in the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Ohio's Constitution would also appear to protect against disparate treatment of Ohio residents, which they are. Article 1, Section 2 in the Bill of Rights, adopted in 1851, would appear to be applicable in this circumstance. Specifically, individuals in similar situations are treated equally under the law, prohibiting arbitrary or intentional discrimination by government actors. This would appear to be intentional discrimination against South Africans. The driver training now imposed on South Africans consumes 30% or more of the limited federal grant money, which is $2,000, which a South African refugee receives. Those funds are intended to pay for housing and food, not excessive driver license training expenses. Loss of employment owing to their skin color in South Africa has left many of these South Africans bereft of resources on arrival in Ohio. Imposing this burden means $600 or more in unnecessary expenses for families with educated, experienced adults who need a driver's license to find employment. Effectively, the Ohio legislature has now ensured that many recent arrivals will remain on public assistance rather than rapidly finding employment. The law is counterproductive when it comes to South African refugees. Governor DeWine, I respectfully implore you issue an executive order, if appropriate, to waive this onerous requirement or push the Ohio legislature to pass an amendment to alter this unfortunate situation. Thank you for your attention to this matter.